ChristopherRBrowning, Ordinary Men, Reserve Police Battalion 101 and the Final Solution in Poland. In the gripping and harrowing account of Ordinary Men, Reserve Police Battalion 101 and the Final Solution in Poland, by ChristopherRBrowning, we delve into the profound transformation of everyday individuals who morphed into mass murderers. This gripping summary sheds light on how the men of Reserve Police Battalion 101, composed primarily of middle-aged reserve policemen, became key accomplices in the Holocaust. We examine the turning points and psychological factors that contributed to their descent into brutality, and ponder how the social constructs embedded within the Nazi regime cultivated a culture of compliance and obedience. Discover the haunting reality of how ordinary men became hardened killers during one of history's darkest chapters.
Faced with evil. In 1942, a reserve police battalion consisting of middle-aged men were tasked with a gruesome assignment. Led by Major Wilhelm Trapp, they were ordered to round up Jewish people in the village of Josefau involved with the anti-German resistance. The young males were to be taken to a work camp while the women, children, and elderly were to be shot on the spot. Despite being reluctant, the men ultimately complied with the orders from the highest authorities. This unimaginable task presented the question of how a battalion of middle-aged, reserve policemen found themselves faced with such unspeakable evil. The reluctant executioners. Reserve Police Battalion 101, conscripted as a last resort, was tasked with the special action of executing Jews in the Lublin district during World War II. The Order Police, responsible for the mass deportation and extermination of Jews, relied heavily on the Reserve Police Battalion to carry out their gruesome work. The men had no idea they would be performing these executions. The Reserve Police Battalion 101 were not enthusiastic Nazis, they were reluctant executioners forced to commit atrocities against an innocent population. The choice to kill. The book reveals the story of the men of Reserve Police Battalion 101, their choice to become mass murderers and those who refused. The story of a real-life hero, Lieutenant Heinz Buchmann, unfolds as he rejects the order to kill defenseless Jewish people and asks for another assignment. Following his standing up, a few others follow him and opt for another assignment, while others excuse themselves by faking illness, hiding, or shooting past their victims. Despite the choice of very few to refuse to participate, the rest of the battalion carries out their inhumane task of killing Jewish people in the marketplace and forest. The hauntingly tragic actions of the battalion tell a story of what happens when ordinary people choose to follow orders blindly. Coping with Massacre. After dealing with the trauma of the Josefau massacre, most members of Reserve Police Battalion 101 continued to participate in the Final Solution. However, a few men resisted and requested transfer back to Germany. To alleviate the psychological burden on the rest of the men, changes were made. The battalion would focus on clearing ghettos and deporting Jews rather than massacres. They would also be joined by anti-Semitic Soviet prisoners of war, sharing the burden of extreme violence. These changes helped the battalion become accustomed to their role in the Final Solution, leading them to approach future killings much differently than the first incident at Josefau. Lieutenant Gnade's cruel acts. Lieutenant Hartwig Gnade, known to be a Nazi and an anti-Semite, became a sadist during the Jewish action in Łomża, Poland. He ordered around 25 elderly men to crawl naked on the ground and had his officers beat them. The battalion was mostly spared from directly participating in the killings, thanks to the Highway's presence. The men did not have to face their victims this time, which severed the personal tie between them. Although the men still had a choice, it was not as clear and vivid as before, which led to a much lower number of men slipping off, with only 2 men deliberately avoiding shooting. This incident brought the men of the Reserve Police Battalion one major step closer to becoming hardened killers. The tragic Jew hunts. The Reserve Battalion 101 hunted down Jewish people who had managed to escape and hide during the clearance of northern towns and ghettos in the Lublin district. Polish informers aided them in searching for hiding places. The battalion killed an estimated 1,000 persons during these hunts, and the killers were given considerable leeway in their level of participation. While some policemen had become eager killers, others refrained from shooting or set people free. Only a small minority managed to avoid becoming killers altogether. How ordinary men became killers. Reserve Police Battalion 101 had killed at least 83,000 people by the end of 1943, but only a minority of its members had refused to murder. The majority cited following orders and conformity as reasons for their actions. The deeply negative racial stereotypes perpetuated by the Nazis combined with the polarized us and them world of war made killing easier. War itself normalizes killing, and murder became routine as the policemen were asked to do so again and again. This story teaches us that when ordinary men are faced with choices, they can easily become killers, and we should be careful not to assume that we would have acted any differently.
The haunting and chilling tale of the Reserve Police Battalion 101 delivers a stark reminder of the potential for ordinary individuals to become the executors of brutality under the constructs of an oppressive regime. The story unravels the mask of normalcy that shrouded these men, who through war, social pressure, and the normalization of crime, became enablers of the Holocaust. In understanding their descent, we uncover the significant role played by the inherent human inclination to conform and obey orders. This summary offers a chilling reflection on our potential capabilities when placed under certain conditions, urging us to explore our understanding of humanity and to never forget the lessons of the past.